Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Cybersecurity Day Workshops. Today, we're going to go into cryptography. Before we start, again, for the online people, please try to register as soon as possible because we're going to close the registration like 1 or 2 weeks before the CTF. This is because we still want to calculate how much money you guys are going to earn from the CTF, also how many people are going to be on site. Yeah, you know, just to calculate like the merch and the food. So this is from one side. The second side, please, if you register through the CTF site, don't forget to join the Discord server. This is how it looks like. There's literally 2 buttons here. Please click on both of them. First one for registration, second one for joining Discord server. And if you have an issue, whether with the platform or you have any question, please don't DM me on Slack or anywhere. Just go to the Discord server, go to this ticket system here, and when you technically you should only be able to see this create tickets. You're just gonna click on this open a ticket, and it's gonna automatically create a private channel between you and one of the organizers. So this is where you can ask your questions. This server is also where we're gonna put our announcements. Also, try to choose your affiliation here. And also, if you are looking for a teammate, you can ask here. Maybe there is someone else with the same issue. Yeah. So again, Discord server is super important. We have announcements. We have there also the rules. You can choose the affiliation. We're gonna also have like which kind of prizes you guys are gonna win here, and this channel gonna be linked to the platform. So if someone solves the challenge, which means if someone blots the challenge, it's gonna be broadcast immediately here with your name, and everyone gonna know that you were the first to solve that challenge. It's really nice, and yeah, it should look something like this when it's actually working. So this is from our CTF last year. With my team, and it should look like something like this. For example, first plot for name of the challenge, and then the CTF team who solved this challenge first, and I think it's really nice. Also, the scoreboard and the first plots, it's going to be broadcast in the open space, so everyone going to be able to see it. And I think it's a really good feeling when you're the first to solve something and your name is actually there and everyone can see it. So just work hard. That was a small bracket. Now we can go back to the important stuff that we have today, which is cryptography. Sorry for the notification. I'm going to turn it off. And yeah, cryptography. Sorry. Okay, cryptography. Okay, you guys also, everyone here knows me. I think you guys all been here sticking since day 1. Props for you guys. Also, you are allowed to clap for you. You are more than half through, and today is week 4, so we have only 2 weeks left to this. 3 weeks technically to the CTF. It's not that much left, so just do your best. What do we have today? So first, a little bit of a history about cryptography or cryptography. What makes it actually cryptography, and what is or how it was before Christ. So just before Christ. And also we're going to talk about the birth of cryptology and which are the scientists that actually started this term, or not really this term, but the cryptology that we know today. And last but not least, we're going to have a little bit more of history, like from the 1800s till now, and what are the changes that cryptology went through to reach what we see today. The second half of the session is going to be about RSA. I did choose RSA because it's kind of beginner-friendly crypto system. It's not really easy, but it's not really hard. You just need a little bit of understanding of modular arithmetic, and this is all what you need to actually understand how it works. So we're going to dive into asymmetric encryption. What is it, and how does it work? Some definitions about RSA. We're going to also use the board to explain some more stuff about it. Math, which is going to be modular arithmetic. We're going to do a small demo. I'm going to try to encrypt a flag or something on the fly here, and you guys have to decrypt it. Of course, after understanding how it works. Then some security analysis about RSA, what can go wrong, where can we find problems, and where can we actually break the system. And yeah, at the end, I just added this slide about important libraries you guys need for cryptography. These will be basically your toolbox and the stuff you will need to solve pretty much any CTF challenge. I mean, not all, but pretty much almost. And at the end, resources and an outlook about next week. So this is what we have today. Okay, cryptography. First, what do you guys know about cryptography? Just tell me what you know about it. I mean, there is no way you don't know anything about it, right? Yeah.
It's kind of like making your messages like hidden into something which is a special code or algorithm, which will kind of hide the information for everyone to read, and you can only like decipher it if you have some key to it. It can be same way on the same side, or how's the word for it? Like if you can have a mirror and it's the same on the one side to go into it and to go out of it, or it can be like another key you need or another algorithm you need.
Nice. You did mention two really important concepts. First one is a ciphertext. A ciphertext is basically a hidden text, and also the second thing, the mirroring that you were talking about, which is what makes encryption and decryption possible. It's the way the algorithm is built, which is both ways, which means you can encrypt and decrypt with the same key or the same crypto system. So it's both ways. Later on, we're going to talk about hashing, and we're going to understand that hashing is not encryption. Again, hashing is not encryption because hashing is only one way. The moment you get a hash, you are not able to go back, except if you find a collision. But even a collision, it's going to tell you how it was at the end or in the beginning, but it's not going to really be a direct one way and then come back. So that's from one side. Also, again, cryptography and steganography are not the same. Some people really confuse this stuff. Steganography is about hiding something in something, and cryptography is about modifying something while preserving its meaning. So if you are trying to go back, it's going to be the same thing. And cryptography, I think it's already clear that it's a Greek word. Do you guys know what does it stand for? I mean, in Greek. Because I think to understand any concept, you have to first understand the origin of it. You guys know what is cryptography. First, which words this word is combined with? I mean, what are the words that makes up cryptography? See? Cryptos, it's the first word. Yeah, what's the second one? Graphos, exactly. So, cryptos, which is the important part here, cryptos is basically hiding. So it's basically hiding or making something not readable or yada, yada, yada. You understand what I mean? And by understanding this, you understand how it actually started in the beginning. In the beginning, it basically just started by hiding the meaning of a word, by either modifying the letter, how it looks like, or by using a symbol. I mean, in one slide further, we're going to see how it was before Christ. But before this, cryptography is really important today, because if the crypto system we have today are broken, nothing will be safe anymore. You're not going to have your privacy anymore, and basically everything going to crumble. Because just imagine everyone right now is using HTTPS with any communication. Also, if you are doing a WhatsApp call, you always see encrypted end-to-end communication. I mean, of course, Meta is in between taking a look at what you're saying, but this is another story. At least your neighborhood or your neighbor will not be able to sniff. Do you guys know what is sniffing? I mean, not the English meaning. I mean, the more security-oriented meaning of sniffing.
Listening in on someone else's
Exactly. So basically, sniffing, you're going to be somewhere in the middle between two people trying to communicate, and you're going to try to understand what is going on, what they are talking about, and this is basically sniffing. When we use Wireshark, it's also another way of sniffing. So, yeah, please don't be like this bear here. Encryption will not be done with the steganography. This you can forget about it. So, as I said, a little bit of history. Basically, cryptography, the first ever recorded thing that looked like cryptography was by the ancient Egypts. And it was by this non-standard hieroglyphs, like this one here. I mean, it might look like, I don't know, gibberish or something you don't understand, but this was actually their way of encrypting stuff or making stuff hidden, which means if people take over a temple or a pyramid, they're not going to be able to understand what is written there. Fast forward a couple of years later, we have with the Sumerians, and we have this Mesopotamian clay tablets, which are here. This is also another type of symbols, which also show another meaning or another picture of cryptography before Christ. Yeah, some years later, we have the first definition, or the first, this word came to life, cryptography, by the Greeks, and the Spartans used it actually in this way. So this was basically the first time we actually saw that we have physical cryptography, not just hiding the meaning by using a symbol, but actually doing stuff that seems logical. So before, we just add in material to create an encryption. Here, we're adding a logic. And later on, you're going to understand through history, to make something more complicated, we just add more elements. Later on, we're going to add physics into it, and more later on, I mean, in the last 100 years, we added math into it. And I predict, or not predict, but I assume in the future, if you are trying to make crypto even more harder or even more unbreakable, we have to add another element, which should be time in a way or another. I mean, this is just my opinion. I mean, I'm not a scientist, but based on what I read about history, it just makes sense that whenever cryptography made a step forward, it just had like a new element added to the mix. Okay? Yeah, and between 1000 and 44 BC, we have Julius Caesar, which was basically the first cipher that you can actually call cipher, which is this disk. And do you guys know Caesar cipher? Have you guys ever heard of it? Can you please tell me what is Caesar cipher? It is.
Okay, it's kind of like you're shifting in a defined interval on the alphabet. You kind of shift another alphabet, and it's actually the normal alphabet. It's not a general alphabet, because alphabet is a term for anything, but we're just using the normal ABC we learn in school, and we're shifting it, and that's actually the whole cipher. And it's a symmetric one.
Exactly. So basically, let's take a message which is ABC. If you want to encrypt it with the Caesar cipher, how it's going to look like? ABC encrypted, how it's going to look like? Come on. Please?
Maybe you're shifting each letter to the number of
I'm just talking about this
example.
here, like with the same key here, which is 19. What's ABC going to look like?
You're moving A, for example, to the 19th to the right side, and you're putting that letter, and you're going to the next letter in the word, like B, and shifting, and
but what's the output? What's the output of ABC? This message, if it goes through this, what is going to be at the end? Please, there?
TUV?
Exactly. So you can see here, ABC. If we are doing this encryption, it's going to be TUV. So basically, if I give you TUV and I give you the key, you're going to be able to come back. You see? This is the first occurrence of actually a crypto that we can call a crypto system, because it has a structure, a well-defined structure, which is both ways, and which is using a key, which is always a secret. If the key is leaked, you can assume that your crypto system is actually broken. But that doesn't mean that the crypto that you are using is wrong. It just means that your crypto system got broken in this case scenario because your secret was leaked. Does that make sense? Leaking your secret doesn't mean that a specific crypto is unsafe. It just means that you suck. Yeah. So this was the before BC. Now, a couple of hundreds of years later, we have the birth of actually cryptology. and it was by the in the Golden Arabs era, which started with Al-Khalil between 717 and 786 AD. He wrote basically the first cryptographic book that we can actually call a book that defines cryptography that we know today, and which has also permutations and combinations. And from then to 1400, there were basically no improvement in cryptography. It's like a gap which had like literally nothing. I mean, there were some small use cases, but it was never developed to the point where you can say, okay, there were a step forward. Until the 1400, where this guy came, which is the godfather of cryptanalysis that we know today. From the 1400 till now, there were basically no improvements on this cryptanalysis. So basically today, we are still using the cryptanalysis that someone did discover or come up with in the 1400s. Just imagine, wow. And yeah, he basically wrote in a encyclopedia, and one of the sections was related to this. It's really interesting. I didn't read the book personally, but I think it's really worth it to understand how it was before and how was the thinking that actually did bring up this idea. And I think this is a really interesting type of ciphers, which is called the homophonic substitution cipher. Do you guys know what is a substitution cipher? Yeah?
I guess from the word it just replaces certain
Exactly. Yes.
characters with different ones.
Caesar, for example, is a substitution cipher because it's basically just modifying something to achieve something else. But it's preserved that A going to become something B. Here, when you are talking about homophonic substitution cipher, one letter may be mapped, it will be mapped to multiple letters. For example, A going to be mapped to, I don't know, A, B, C, D. So whenever you see A, it's going to be changed to A, B, C, D. It's also a system, and it's also well-defined, it also has a key. So it's a crypto system. And it was by Duke of Mantua, and it was in the early 1400s. I mean, just a couple of years after the godfather of cryptanalysis. Do you guys know where Mantua? It's in Italy. Yeah. Also, all these informations, it's the sources just from Wikipedia. Security. So the oldest non-mathematical crypto system, also known as a substitution cipher, are all vulnerable to frequency analysis technique. Do you guys know what our frequency analysis technique? They're also a type of a cryptanalysis. Do you guys know what is cryptanalysis? No one? Let's just try to make sense. What is frequency? It's the occurrence of something in a period of time. Guys, come on. Frequency, and what is an analysis? It's basically an analysis. So we're going to analyze the frequency of something. And in this case scenario, we're going to basically analyze the frequency of, let's just talk about English. We're going to analyze the frequency of the letters in English words, and we're going to make sense of this. And if you have something, if you have a text which is encrypted by this substitution cipher, we can assume that by this frequency, we're going to make sense that this letter actually means A or E, because this letter will be, in English, for example, it's the most used letter. So we're going to kind of predict that this letter will be mapped to A, or it's going to be mapped to V, because V is the letter which is, no, not V, Z. It's the letter which no, not Z, it's actually W, sorry. W is the letter which is not used at all, almost not used at all. So if you see its only occurrence once in a whole text, you can assume that this is actually mapping to W.
So you analyze based on common words that occur frequently.
Exactly.
Something like is or something.
Yeah, because the spaces and the commas are preserved. So the only thing which is changing is just the letters. So from knowing that the frequency of this letter is higher than the frequency of this letter, and you check your text and you see that the frequency of, I don't know, T was more than the frequency of all other letters, you can kind of assume that T is actually mapping to E. And just based on this, you can maybe think, okay, so T is basically mapping to E, and you're going to see, okay, the difference between T and E is this, so this is probably the key, and you're going to try this to decrypt the whole thing. This is if we are using the one key for the whole text, but most of the time, if you're trying to build something secure, you don't use the same key. But this should at least, I mean, just from knowing this, you should at least leak a couple of letters. Okay? Yeah. Yeah, so science done, and the one who came up with this cryptanalysis was Al-Kindi, is also from he's an Arab mathematician, and it was around the 800 AD. Yeah, and it was proven to be the single most significant cryptanalysis advance until the World War II. So like almost 1200 years, there were basically no improvements to this, which is really fascinating how he came to this so early. Yeah. Now we're going to do a demo time. Pick up your PC and tell me what does this decrypt to. So I just encrypted something here, and tell me what should be the text. You guys have only 5 minutes. I mean, you guys, for this you should not even have 5 minutes. Come on, it's easy, easy peasy. This needs a little bit of brute forcing because you don't know the key. Now let's say you're just sniffing in between, like two people communicating, and one guy sent this to the other. And of course, this guy doesn't want you to know the key. He's just sending this because he assumes, please?
Hello, can you read me?
Exactly, good job. How did you solve it? Can you tell us?
Rock 13.
Exactly, good. So this is the first or the most famous Caesar algorithm, which is row 13, and as the name suggests, it's basically rotating each letter by 13. Can you tell us how did you find this key so immediately? Did you use any brute forcing or just tried it?
Yeah, it's common knowledge.
Okay. But if you want to be like super efficient in doing this, there is a website called Decode, yes. So you just go to this website, Decode, find the cipher, and just go here, just supply it here. I mean, wait, let me copy it. Just showing you guys how it should be also in the CTF. If you are getting a cipher that you don't know, you're just gonna analyze it like this, and here it's gonna suggest, okay, it's a row 13 cipher with a higher percentage. So you're just gonna go here and just copy it here again, decrypt, and hello, can you read me? See? From another sense, if you don't know the key, because here I'm using row 13 directly, if I use like any other complicated key, you can brute force it because it's just one key, and the combinations are basically, I mean, I'm not going to use like 1,000 or 1,000,000 or something. Even million, it's not a big number when you are talking about cryptography. When we are talking about cryptography, any number smaller than 2 to the power of 32 is brute forceable. Again, any number to the power less than 2 to the power of 32 is small and brute forceable. Do you guys know how big is 2 to the power of 32?
It's about 1 billion.
2 to the power of
Million, billion, or trillion.
it's a billion, 3, so it's 4 billion. Yeah, it's not a big number at all, especially when we are talking about cryptography. But if you are interested in like making your your system as secure as possible, you always choose a security of 2 to the power of 128. This number is so huge, which requires more time than the age of the universe to brute force, which theoretically is not possible. So brute forcing does not work if we are talking about crypto system that we see today. That's why using the key is always important, because if the key is small, you can easily brute force it. This was between the brackets. Now we can go back to our slides. So yeah, solution, so brute forcing the rotation key. And this is exactly again how the rot actually works. You're just gonna modify one letter with another one based on like this movement is basically the rotation key. And if you have a big text, we can analyze the distribution of the letters against the language frequency, which is what I said when I talked about the cryptanalysis. Does it make sense? Or do you guys have any questions? Good. This is the most famous. Do you guys know what is this? You guys know this? Have you ever saw this? There is a really good video you guys can watch on YouTube. It's called Cryptos. This board is actually in the NSA, if I remember correctly, or like the FBI department, or I don't know, I don't remember. And this is basically a ciphertext. I mean, there's multiple ciphertexts here, which makes up one huge ciphertext. And it's still like unsolved till today. I mean, it was built like in the 80s or the 90s, I don't remember. But from that time till now, it's still unsolved. I mean, they solved a really big chunk out of it, but there is still a small part of it which is still unsolved. And if you can solve it, I will give you $100 because I'm broke. So, yeah, this is another exercise. If you are bored and you just want to waste your time, you can try it. Yeah, now from the 1800s to World War I, we actually we see why cryptography is super important. One of the reasons why Germany lost in the First World War was basically because the cryptography was broken. So all the communication was actually leaked, which did give an upper hand. As long as you understand what the enemy is trying to do, you're going to understand what he's trying to do, and you're going to predict it and have a counterattack. This is a real example of why cryptography today, it actually makes the security. If we don't have cryptography, we don't have any security. And privacy, yes, of course. And fast forward to World War II, we have the birth of the mechanical and electromechanical cipher machines. Also, you guys, I think you guys know Enigma. This is one of the examples. And now we have a new addition to the mix. Can you guys tell me what is the addition to the mix? Before we talked, we had first just like cryptology, then we had like logic on top of it, added. Now what do we add to the mix to make this system?
Variants?
What is the science?
Variants, like different variants of
No.
changing.
Like, what is mechanical and electromechanical? What is this? Which science is this?
Physics?
Physics, yes, it's physics.
Sorry.
It's fine. So now we have like, we are going one step further because we are adding physics to the equation. We're not depending only on something that makes sense. We're adding physics that we still don't understand fully to predict, especially when we are talking about quantum stuff. I mean, if you are talking about electrons, we still don't understand their behavior. I mean, if they are almost as cold as the absolute zero, we can kind of know what they are doing because their movement is almost paralyzed. But in normal case scenario, we don't understand what is going on. And based on this, you actually can create a crypto system. And you know that today, if they are trying to generate random numbers, the best way to do it is using the atmosphere noise. You guys know what is atmosphere noise? It's the noise of the universe. Everything in the universe makes actually some noise, which can be captured. It's just frequencies. And you can use this to create a randomness. Because the randomness is also what makes the crypto system secure. If you can predict this random key that the guy thinks is random enough, you can basically break whatever he's doing because you're just going to replicate what he did. You see how important it is? Physics made a really huge step forward for cryptography. Not only for cryptography, for science in general. Please.
What happens if now not only the normal computers we have now are working, so binary, but now quantum will set up?
Yeah.
Is it something that will still prevent brute forcing?
Yeah, okay. This is a really good question. Actually, cryptography has a lot of branches, especially today. There are some branches that you guys, I think, maybe you guys never heard of. For example, zero knowledge. Zero knowledge is one of the new branches of cybersecurity, cryptography, sorry. We also have post-quantum cryptography. We have crypto systems that are resistant to quantum computing. I mean, the reason why RSA and elliptic curves and the normal cryptography system that we use today are vulnerable to quantum computing is just because of one of the algorithms that could be optimized with the quantum computer, which is Shor's algorithm. His algorithm cannot work in a normal case scenarios because it's actually using the superposition of a quantum computer. I'm not going to dive deeper into how quantum computers works, but just know that crypto is involving the same speed like any other field. If you have a quantum machine that can break RSA or something else, we have alternatives. Just these alternatives are not as fast or are not as optimized, or there is no need to use them today because we know that quantum computers are still not available or accessible by everyone. Does it make sense? The improvement is always in parallel. Whenever someone tries to create something, to break something, someone is at the same time is trying to create something that can mitigate this. And this is not only in cryptography, but in science in general. It's always a coin which has two faces, always trying to advance from one side and from the other side. Does it make sense? Good. Yeah, also, this is just my recommendation. Take a look how Enigma actually works. It's really, really fascinating. This is also one of the things you can, I mean, there is a video in YouTube, just type Enigma, how it works. It was also animated using Blender, I think, and it's really, really well made. So that's, again, the use of physics to make crypto system harder to predict and decipher. As I said, new element added to the mix. Now, modern cryptography. First of all, base 64 is not encryption. Please, base 64 again is not encryption. It's an encoding. Encoding, yes, it modifies something, but there is no difficulty in breaking it. It's a system that doesn't need a key. I mean, if you are talking about only base and the key is basically whether it's 64 or 57 or I don't know which number, you can consider this a crypto system, but it's a really weak crypto system. I mean, today we have some criteria to evaluate if an algorithm can be evaluated as a crypto system or no. So again, base 64 is not an encryption, it's an encoding. It's the same when you are changing a string to binary. This is an encoding, okay? And don't be like this guy. I don't do the same thing. It's not the same thing. Hashing and encryption is not the same thing. Again, what's the difference between hashing and encryption? Please?
Hashing is not reversible.
Yeah, good, nice. He took the opportunity. So, the birth of the modern era of cryptography, known as today, it was basically after the World War II. And yeah, we have a new element added to the mix, which is the math. As you have saw before, we added physics just a couple of years before this, and now we're adding math, which was a huge step forward. This is what made like many crypto systems that we see today, made them really, really, really hard to predict and really hard to break. But again, we don't know if they are unbreakable. I mean, the history tells us there is always a time where something is going to be broken and going to have a replacement for it. So whatever you see today, I'm pretty sure that a couple of years later or a couple of hundred years later, we will kind of have a way to break them easily. Also, during the same era, we have the birth of asymmetric encryption. Do you guys know what is the difference between symmetric and asymmetric encryption? Please, there.
So for symmetric encryption, you have for decrypting and encrypting the same key.
Yes.
And for asymmetric, you have different keys.
Yes.
That will work when you have either one.
Yeah. Good. That's really good. I mean, I still prepared a couple of slides for each element of the three. So we're going to dive a little bit deep into it, but this is a really good point. So symmetric, same key, encryption and decryption. Asymmetric, no, we have always a public key and a private key. And you are using this in your day-to-day life. You just maybe don't realize, but you are always using it. Also, we can have a mix. I mean, most of the time we have a mix between the two. Because sometimes you just want to share your key with someone else, which he can use to do his symmetric stuff. Also, we have the birth of hashing. Again, hashing is not encryption. You guys know why? Also, encryption became more about turning your message into numbers and running on multiple algorithm into it. Before, we had like just letter getting changed to another letter. Now, not anymore. It's a digitalized era. So basically, we have your letter going to be mapped using ASCII table, and it's going to become a number, or your huge string going to also become a number. And this number, we're going to do some stuff to it, and it's going to be modified, and the output is going to be also a number. And why we have numbers? Because we're using math, and math cannot be used on characters. Makes sense. Yeah, so cryptography was furthermore developed to cover multiple algorithms with different use cases. Symmetric, asymmetric, also elliptic curves. We also have lattice-based cryptography, which when you asked about quantum computing, one of the algorithms that are quantum resistant are lattice-based cryptography. And every crypto system, it has a problem which makes it a crypto system. For example, when we're going to talk about RSA, the problem that the problem that we are using, or the problem we are leveraging, is how hard it is to factor a number which is made by 2 primes. This is the power, or basically this is what makes this crypto system strong. Is we don't have a way to factorize these 2 numbers in a short period of time. There's also Diffie-Hellman, which is using the logarithmic problem, and this is also what makes this specific crypto system secure and hard, because we don't have a way to break this specific problem. Lattice is using vectors. Vectors cannot be, this Shor's algorithm can break numbers but cannot break vectors. That's why lattice-based cryptography is not quantum secure. Okay? Yeah, please.
You mentioned before that some additions will be made on timing or time-dependent algorithms. Now my question is, we got it already with the one-time password thing. It's with HMAC combining timestamps to some hashes. Is it kind of the same thing, or is it going beyond?
No. Actually, I mean, time is basically used, right? Today almost everywhere, especially when you are trying to generate your random numbers, they are using the timestamp. Because as long as you don't know when this guy actually generated this specific binary, he's not going to be able to break it. Of course, if you choose a small timestamp, it can be brute forceable, but I'm talking in general. And this is not what I meant. I meant time as a separate entity. I still cannot imagine how it looked like. Otherwise, I would have already wrote a paper how it's going to look like in the future. But we added math to it. And math is still stick into the 3 dimensions. The new thing, which is which did revolutionize. Okay, this is a really hard word. I'm not going to use it.
Math stage in 3 dimensions is not true.
Sorry?
Math is literally like.
Please.
No, I just. Yeah, never mind.
No, please. I really like this.
I just completely disagree with you, because like you can just make like maths more complicated.
Look, listen. When we were talking about like this 700 between like the birth of like a cryptology and the adding a physics to it, we had some improvement to it, but the improvement was within the scope of making this more complicated, just making either the key much harder, using multiple letters with the same thing. But today, this looks almost with the same. From our perspective and our knowledge today, for us, it's all the same. Any substitution cipher can be broken. We know this by heart because our computers are faster in breaking the small keys. When I meant in the future, we have to add a new element to make it much harder, I didn't mean that we cannot have any more algorithm which is stronger than the algorithms we have today. I just meant to make this step further to the future, we need a new element. We cannot see this big improvement that we are wishing for, like adding math to it or adding physics to it, if we are still using the things we are using today. This is just my opinion. This is nothing scientific.
Some 3,000-year prediction, not like.
Huh?
It might be like some 3,000-year prediction.
The difference between physics and math was only 50 years. So it's, again, it's my opinion. We can all agree and we can all disagree on it. But thanks for your input. So, yeah. Fast forward, we also have the birth of the post-quantum cryptography. We just talked about it. It's the cryptography, which is quantum secure, which cannot be broken by a quantum computer. Symmetric encryption. Okay, now I'm going to tell you more about the symmetric encryption. First, it uses a single key for both encryption and decryption. One of the examples is AES. We also have DES, which is deprecated. You should not use DES anymore. We also have CHA-20. CHA-20 is used mostly for DNS, and AES is used mostly for any file which is saved at rest. So if you're trying to save your files on the cloud or on your computer or anywhere else, or if you're trying to encrypt your bootloader, yada yada yada, you most of the time going to use AES. It's really good for this kind of scenarios. It's also fast, and it cannot be broken, especially if you are using 128 key bits. I mean, 128 bits is basically requires basically to the power of 128 tries to basically brute forces. This is permutations. Yeah, so requires a secure key exchange between sender and receiver. If, for example, I want to send you a file which is encrypted, I have to find a way to send you my key, which you're going to use to decrypt this. I cannot send it to you in an envelope, and I cannot send it to you over the internet, because we can always assume that there is a third party sniffing our communication. So we had to come up with something which going to allow us to basically exchange this key without being revealed, which is the asymmetric encryption. Yeah, these are some couple of examples, and also it's commonly used for data at rest encryption, disk encryption, as I said, and also bulk data transmissions. Good? Or any more questions? Good. So symmetric, or now we have asymmetric stuff. It's a use of a key pair. We have a public key, which is used for encryption and secure verification. So basically, if you're trying to encrypt something, you always use the public key. And if you're trying to decrypt something, you always use a private key. Of course, if you are trying to build, like if you are trying to create the system, you are the one who's going to generate both, and you're going to share the private key with the other one. This is just talking here mostly about RSA, but most of the other asymmetric algorithms are in the same, I mean, they both go into the same scenario. Sometimes we need like some more going on and forward, like for example, I'm going to share something with you, you're going to share something with me, then I'm going to share something with you. Here we are kind of going to an interactive problem. So we have non-interactive problems, we also have interactive problems. Yeah, so this eliminates the need of a secure key exchange. I mean, it is what we use to establish this key exchange in a secure way. Also, it requires, we have examples. We have RSA, which is what we're going to have today. We also have elliptic curves, which are really fascinating, but a little bit hard to grasp. They're considered to be kind of hard to advance crypto system. And if you are looking at just the key size, they are much stronger than RSA. If you are trying to make like a secure RSA communication, you need to at least use a key which is 248 bits long, or 2048 bit long, or 4096 bit long. So if you're just doing it with ECC, you just need 128. It's much smaller and much harder to break, but it's slower than RSA. There's also Diffie-Hellman, and there is Al-Jamal. It's an Egyptian mathematician, and Diffie-Hellman, I think it's German. Yeah, so it's used for secure key exchange, digital signatures. If you know, like when you are using, we are all using TLS in a way or another when you are trying to access any website. Google right now, maybe you just Googled something, it's using TLS. TLS is using asymmetric encryption in the background. Yeah, I also wrote it there. Yeah, TLS and SSL. So in web security, this is a really important part of it. Maybe next week I'm gonna add a section for TLS and SSL, how exactly it works. I think it's really important. I think it's a really important element. It doesn't have anything to do with the website development, but if you are doing DevOps, or if you are trying to understand what is happening behind the scene, it's really important. And last but not least, we have hashing. These are multiple types of algorithms of hashing. We have CRC32, we have MD5, and we have CHA 256. We also have, this is what we call SHA-2. We also have SHA-3, which is the newest one, but it's much, it's bigger, but much harder to calculate. That's why we didn't migrate directly to SHA-3, because we still know that this cannot be broken. I mean, broken hashing, it's not the same like broken in encryption. Broken hashing means finding collision. Do you guys know what is a collision when we are talking about hashing? You talked so much. No, go there. There, yeah.
It is when you have input into the hashing algorithm and you get the same output with different inputs.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. So if you are finding, for example, hashing is basically every one element A, any element A, any element A will be mapped to something. I don't know, this just 4 dots. Element B will be, for example, X and then plus and then dot dot. If you are trying to find C, which is also mapped to the same thing, it's collision. And this allows you to actually modify stuff, modify something inside. Because hashing, the first thing that makes a hash strong is if you change any bits here, this should give you a completely different thing. And we're going to take a look into this. So let's open a browser. I think it's always good to see how things are happening. So I'm going to go MD5 hash generator here. And you choose something simple, just A. Also, hashing has a width which is not changeable. So anything you supply, it's just going to be the same length. Whether it's smaller than the hash or bigger than the hash. It's just going to be squeezed to the same thing. Because hashing doesn't have to preserve all the information. This is a really important concept. When we are talking about encrypting and decrypting, we have to always preserve the whole logic or the whole information. Because if you're trying to go back and you lost some sort of information along the way, you're not going to be able to retrieve everything back. Does it make sense? But in hashing, it doesn't matter. Not what if you are trying to encrypt the text, the output of the encryption most of the time going to be the same size or length or a little bit bigger than what you did supply at the beginning. It will never be smaller, because smaller means you lost something. Okay? So A, we're going to generate MD5. Look how it looks like. You can make it bigger. You see, it starts with 0C and ends with 61. The difference between A and B, how much is the difference between A and B if you're talking about ASCII? How many bits are different?
2 bits.
No, 1 bit. 1 bit, because A is basically 97 and B is 98 in ASCII. So it's just 1 bit.
Okay, because of 1 0 turned into a...
No, right now I'm talking based on the, okay, we can choose the same example. I'm just going to ask you about B and C. Because B, the last bit is basically going to be 0, and C just going to have it changed to 1, right?
Okay, so from B to C it would be 2 bits different.
B to C, no, it's still 1 bit, because you are just going 1 bit upward.
From A to B is 2 bits, and from B to C is 1 bit. I mean, if you...
I understand what you guys are trying to mention. So listen, let's do it in Python. It's much better to just do it in Python. So I'm going to open this. So if you are doing with bin, I think this function art, and we have let's take a look into B. This is how it looks like, right? Now let's do it with C.
Yeah, okay.
It's just 1 bit. Just this thing here got modified, and just 1 bit change. Look how our hash gonna change. It's gonna be completely modified. I mean, this was B, this is B. You see, it starts with 92 and ends with 8F, right? Let's try C. Generate. Completely changed. It starts right now with 4A and ends with 33. It's all randomized. You might find that there is no way there is the same pattern state somewhere. There is absolutely nowhere. No way, because if you can predict how it's actually modifying this, it's broken. It's for sure broken. Also, even if you choose something way bigger than MD5, so I'm just going to choose like, I don't know, like here, like this, something like this. Look, it starts with CC and ends with HD. And I'm just going to change here 1 bit to B. It should give us a completely different output. Again, DC and ends with CE. You see? That's what makes hashing strong. And we always use it for what? What's the use case of hashing in web development, please?
To verify that you downloaded like the right file.
Or, yes, this is a really good signatures, signature verification.
Also in databases for passwords and stuff.
Exactly. This is the real or the best use scenario of hashing is basically with passwords. You don't want your password to be accessible even for you. So if you are giving me your password, and let's say our database got leaked, your password will never be leaked. Your hash will be leaked. And then you can perform some attacks called dictionary attacks or like non-text attacks, but these are still in the brute forcing area. So it still depends how strong is your password. A lot of factors comes into play. But just imagine your passwords are all saved in plain text. Any breach will just leak everything. You see? So nothing is bad and nothing is good. Just everything has its own use case. So whether it's hashing, whether it's encryption, it just depends how are you going to use it. Q&A, any questions? No? Okay. We can have a small break, 5 minutes. The challenge is related to RSA, so I don't think I don't think I should put it now live, so it's going to be at the end, okay? Just 5 minutes, please, because we still have some stuff. Good. Are the online guys good? Everyone good? No questions? Okay, let's continue. So now, why asymmetric? I mean, we talked a little bit about asymmetric in the slides before this, but why? Before you read this, don't read this. Tell me why. Tell me, please. There.
Because if you have symmetric, you have to have a way to transfer the key without getting lost.
As simple as this.
Yeah.
Please, Marvin, if you have any addition.
Well, I just thought if you have the public key but not the private key, then maybe you can't decrypt it or encrypt it in a certain way.
Yeah, if you have just one key, yeah, it's going to be a little bit tricky to do this thing between two parties. So, good, yeah. So, it's Asymmetric was born to solve the problem of secure communications over the insecure network. We always assume that there is some sort of hacker in between me and the other party, or we always use in cryptography Bob and Alex. So we always assume that between Bob and Alex we have some sort of hacker, and we want to make our system secure in a way that both can communicate, doesn't matter who is in between. So this was the main idea why this was born. And also during the same time HTTPS was actually born. You guys know HTTPS, right? It's HTTP but secure, and it's using the encrypted communication. Symmetric cryptography context, yeah, it was to. No, I think there was a typo. It's asymmetric cryptography context, and the whole idea was to agree on a secret key. So we are both, especially when we are talking about Diffie-Hellman. So you're gonna give me something, and I'm gonna get something from myself, and both of our stuff gonna be combined to create something that cannot separate what you gave me in the beginning and what I did come up with. Let's say we have this scenario. This is your color. Let's say this is Alice, and this is Bob, right? Bob has this color. If you watch the video of Computer Phil, he uses basically the same thing. So we have Bob has this color, and he's gonna send it over the network. So this is basically the public network, and Alice gonna have this color, and basically both of them gonna have something like this at the end. And this thing is what we're gonna use because this is agreed between the both parties, with the knowledge that any attacker that comes in between cannot separate these two. Like from here, just by knowing this, he cannot get this back. This is the main idea that came, from where like this secure communication came, and why we have a public and a private key. Private key is always something you keep. Public key is what you send over. So this was basically the public key of Alice, and this was the public key of Bob. Makes sense, right? Good? Yeah? Mike? Yeah.
Is it able to extract when I'm Bob and I try to encrypt the public key from Alice? So we are in the middle.
Yeah.
And I have the public key from Bob.
Let me tell you something.
Can I find out somehow the public key of Alice?
You don't find out. You just calculate, because now imagine you are an attacker. You don't have anything. Here, I just didn't give you one more twist. Basically, Bob, what is he getting is just this from Alice. I'm just saying what we're going to have at the end. This is not going to be here. It's going to be both here and here. Like that thing, Alice basically just going to send the green color here. And Bob going to send his purple color. So someone in between, it's not going to be in the same way. If someone takes over the green and takes over the purple, it's going to be compromised. He have both colors. But the knowledge that I'm trying to get into is that I have this color, I just get this and maybe this, both, and then I just recalculate my color back, or I recalculate this by just knowing this and this, for example. You get what I mean? There is a video of Computer Phil explaining RSA with basically colors. There is no way you're not going to understand after this. Watch it. Okay? Again, yeah, so the question that arises, what if every communication is monitored and it is possible to exchange the secret key? First reaction was it's not possible until this public key and private key thing was born. and this is what we know today. Asymmetric ciphers are basically slower than symmetric ciphers. This makes sense. We have to calculate 2 keys now, not only 1, and it's more computation, which means it's much slower. Not much slower to the point we need like days to wait or like minutes to wait. It just, when we are talking about efficiency over packets and so on, we just want to have as fast as possible. So yeah, so basically when we agree on the same key, we're just going to use it to encrypt our data here and there. Does it make sense? We're just going to agree on the same key, but agreeing on the same key should be secure. This is asymmetric encryption. And yeah, it's all starting to make sense now. So RSA, again, here's Alice and here's Bob, and Bob is basically handing the key to Alice, and we don't want him to just give her the key like this, because, for example, us, we can see the key now, you see? We're not even sniffing, but we can see the key. It has like this red thing, and if like the picture was actually not pixelarized like this, you can see actually the tooth of the key here, and you can recreate it. It's basically the same concept. You don't want the key to be leaked in any way. Yeah, and it's basically based on the mathematical difficulty of factoring large prime numbers. And yeah, it's used for key exchange, digital signatures, and encryption. We will take a look into this factoring thing. Let me see what I have next. Yeah, modular arithmetic. So now we're going to dive a little bit into this factoring problem. First, I'm going to show you what is this factoring problem, and then we're going to do a little bit of math, okay? So the first factoring problem is, let me just, oops. So let's imagine we have a number n. Most of the time we use n. This n is made by p multiplied by q, right? Now, let's imagine if p and q are so large, but they are not prime. Do you guys know what is a prime number? What is a prime number?
Only divisible by itself.
Okay, always use opportunities. Nice. It's only divided by itself and 1. So there is a prime numbers. We know them. Even testing whether a number is prime or no, it's so hard because you have to basically, there is no shortcuts. You have to basically try every combination in between, or there is some algorithms that do this faster. It's called smart predictions. But at the end, it's always, we are not sure, because there is some numbers, I forgot the term exactly. The first one, I think it's 1523. It looks like it's prime, and if you try to do like the primacy test, it will look like it's prime, but it's not. This was like a long time ago, so I forgot the name of most of the algorithms that check the primacy of I think Montgomery algorithm. I forgot. So I'm not going to tell you anything about this. You can just Google it. There is something called primacy test, and you use it to check whether or not a number is prime or not. Or the fully secure way, or like the 100% way to know it is to try literally every combination. So you're just going to divide it and see if what you are getting is round or no. Now, let's say if you have both numbers are prime, which means there is nothing in between that cannot make it even more with even more coefficients. Like now we have n, p, and q. Let's say p and q have actually some dividers. If they have basically dividers, this can become an easier problem, because p will become a multiplied by b, and q will going to become c multiplied by d. And as long as you know only one of them, you can keep factoring, you know? Because if you know one of them, you're just going to divide n by a, and you're going to get b, c, and d. And now you made n smaller. And if you can find the b, you will make it even smaller. And that way you can break it much easier. So you will break it into multiple portions. Does that make sense? Now imagine if p and q are both primes, which means there's no way you will get in any a, b, c, and d, because both of them are actually prime. So it's going to be 1 multiplied by p multiplied by q multiplied by 1, because there is nothing other than 1. There is no coefficients that divide it other than 1 and itself. And now let's say we choose a really huge p and q's. So n, let's say it's a combination, because when you are talking about strong RSA algorithms, these are most of the time 2048, and this is also 2048 bits. And we are combining those two, n going to be huge. You see what I mean? And this is what makes it really strong, because n is a really huge number, and you're trying to break it using two numbers that are also huge, like they are 2048 bits, which means to be able to factorize this n, you have to try the combinations of 2004. You have 2048. Yeah, 2048. Yeah, questions? I thought some question there.
Do we know how many
Mike.
numbers we have? Like how many numbers we have in? Do we know how many numbers, prime numbers, we have in 2048 bits?
Yeah, we know, but it's a lot.
Okay.
It's a lot. It's really a lot. That's why we. I mean, you can make a table of all of them, but we are talking about several billion, or I don't know, of numbers. I mean, that's what actually makes it strong, because n is even bigger than this. I mean, we're talking right now just about p and q. N is going to be much bigger than this, because it's p multiplied by q. And to divide n, you have to basically know p and q. And RSA, we're going to come to know how it's actually built. You're going to see that all is built upon this problem. We don't have any way, by just knowing n, to find p and q. Yeah?
How easy is it to find a prime number for p and q, or to get one? Because you need two prime numbers. Right?
You're just going to keep randomly generating numbers, I mean, that are even, that are odd, because even are by default all divided by 2. You know this, right? So are all odd, and you're basically going to try with the primity test, and you're going to check whether it's prime or not. If it's not, you're just going to generate a new random number. There's already libraries that do this, but if you want to do it yourself, you can just try it with the rand. I mean, I'm going to show you guys in a minute an implementation of self-implementation of RSA, which is all Python code. It's not a lot, because RSA is a really easy algorithm, and you're going to see that it's all basically random number, and you check whether or not this is prime or not. If it's not, you're going to test another number. Does it make sense? Do we understand the problem that we have here? Do we understand what makes RSA strong? Good. Now, let's talk about modular arithmetic. Do you guys know what is modular arithmetic? I mean, everyone here used it in C at least once. It's the percentage sign. Please, Mike?
I think it's when you have, let's say, calculations and you operate in a specific number range. Yeah. So basically, after your calculation, you just take the result, modulo whatever that.
Yes. First thing to know about modular arithmetic, whatever the modulo number that you choose, whatever the mod, and here the n you choose, any number would be any result of this would never be bigger than n. It's always going to be between 1 and n. I'm writing p. 1 and n. This is the first thing we have to know. You can imagine it like a disk. It starts with 0, and the last number going to be this n here. I mean, 0 and n are on the same node. What? Yeah, so basically, here's 1, and here's all the other numbers. Now, let's imagine you choose a number which is bigger than n. What it's going to do? It's just going to rotate and just go one step further. So it's just going to do one round, and wherever it's going to land, it's going to be the number that's going to be the result of this. Let's take an easy example. Let's say we have n equal to 13. And we want to calculate, I don't know, 25 mod 13. First, 25 is bigger than 13, which means the number 25 is not the result. So if 25 is less than 13, the number is going to be directly, it's the result, because it doesn't do any rotation. Makes sense, right? I'm not going fast. Okay. What's the result of 25 mod 13?
12.
12. Yes, 12. So we did one full rotation, 13, and then, because, I mean, I'm just calculating it in my brain, 13 multiplied by 2 is 26, so 25 is basically just 1 minus, 25 is basically 26 minus 1, which means it's just going to be 13 minus 1, because we did one circle, so 25 minus 13, we have 12 left. Make sense? Sometimes it can be more rotations. It doesn't have to be always one rotation. We can either choose here like 2 billion something. It's going to be, like the result of this is going to be a number which is less than 13. And this is extremely fast and efficient. Our computers can do this really, really, really fast. Now, let's talk about something. Why or what makes a prime number strong in this scenario? Like if you have a disk and you are looking for like a number here and you're doing mod and this number is prime, what makes it strong?
Mod always wants a division to be dividable into the same size of, I call it circles now.
Yes.
And with the primes, we have a circle of one or a circle of itself. So we're fucked up.
Exactly. That's do you guys understand what he said? Do you guys understand what he said? When we have a prime numbers, we know that the distribution of the number is going to be equal. So there is no case scenario where you're going to say it's because right now, when you are trying to make an attack, we are always talking about probabilities. What is the probability of, for example, choosing this range? What is the probability of choosing this range? There is some attacks, some advanced attacks on RSA are using just some bits knowledge of the ciphertext, and it's more than enough to get the whole output, even though you don't know the key. This is one of the attacks. So probability is really important when you are talking about crypto. It really makes whether or not your crypto system is secure or not. That's why we use prime numbers. They're equally distributed, which means your number will never take like one side. There's like a higher possibility that my number gonna land here. See what I mean? Like if my number is divided by 2, there's a possibility which is secure that my number gonna always land on an even number, which means you can just get rid of all the other combinations, and you just did break half of the possibilities that you were trying to reach. You see how what makes it actually strong? Why we love prime numbers? Because they're really strong. Okay, does it make sense? Does modular make sense now? Now we have to talk about something called modular inverse. It's written there. So this is a really, really, really important property. If you have A and you multiply it, right now we're talking about modular arithmetic. I'm not talking about normal math, okay? If you have A multiplied by its inverse in the same system, so inverse in N, the result will always be congruent to 1. The 3 sign, it means congruent. Congruent means it's not directly equal because there is some cycles there left. And 1, it means only in this N. Make sense? This is a really important concept. Do you guys know why? Or do you guys know what is the identity number in... Okay, this is maybe just going a little bit... Okay, I should stick to what is there. I don't want to dive into math stuff. But do you guys understand why this is true? Do you guys know why it's true? Let's forget that we have modular arithmetic now. Let's just talk about normal multiplication. What is the inverse of 3 in normal arithmetic? Like, which means, what is the number that I can multiply by 3, which is going to give me the identity, which is 1?
1/3.
1/3, exactly, 1/3. So here, in this case scenario, the inverse of 3 is basically 1/3. In the same scenario there, the inverse of A is basically a number, which is going to be 1 divided by A, but because 1 divided by A doesn't really exist in the system with only numbers between 0 and n, we have to actually find what is 1 divided by A in this system. And 1 divided by A, in this case scenario, is going to be actually a round number. It's going to be either 5, 7, depending on n. And this is really, really important, because if you know this, like this basically tells you that the bigger common dividers between A and n is basically 1. So we can say that A and n are coprime, this term, coprime, which means both these numbers, there is nothing in between that can divide each other. Do you guys understand, like, the beauty of it? Everything makes sense. Like, whenever I see this, I just remember Euler's equation. It literally summarizes the nature. It's, I'm not sure if you guys know it. It's like, if I remember it correctly, e to the power, I, p plus 1 is equal to 0. Look at this beauty. This is literally everything about math, everything the nature in just one equation, and it's all perfect. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. I don't know if you can see it. For me, this is beautiful. Oh, okay. I just love math. Sorry, I just love math. So This is from one side, and RSA, this is basically the equation that actually builds RSA. So we have the ciphertext is basically equals to M, which is our message, to the power of E modulo N. So the output is going to be a number which is between 1 and N. You might think, wait, maybe we are losing something. We are doing more rotations, but it doesn't work that way. The key that we're going to use, the key that we're going to generate, because to decrypt this, we need a number called D. To decrypt this D, like using this D, we have already some informations. Like here, we actually divide the information between the ciphertext and also the private key. Both holds a little bit of information, which actually makes up the message back. And okay, I'm just getting now a little bit excited. But do you guys understand what I said about modular arithmetic? Why is it important? What are prime numbers? What is the factorization problem? Does it make sense? Good, 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 good. Nice. Okay, there's here. Okay. Yeah. So this is the RSA algorithm. I'm not sure. I don't think it's visible, right? But I'm gonna try to explain it out loud. It is basically two sides. Again, we have Alice and Bob. We have the decryption side, and we have the encryption side. Most of the stuff actually is happening on the encryption side. So basically, we try to generate P, Q, E, and D. These are the 4 numbers. These are calculated based on the previous ones. The ones which you have to basically choose are P, Q, and E. Let's just do it like step by step. Just gonna remove everything here, and let's say we're gonna do RSA in our brain today. P here, Q, and D. Choose E5. Again, all of these should be prime. All these 3 should be prime. Again, if E is not prime, there is a bug in your system, and it's like your crypto system can be broken. If P and Q are not prime, I told you why it can be broken, because you can just make it smaller. So if you find dividers of Q, you're just going to make the difficulty of finding a factor much, much easier. Makes sense, right? So this is prime, this is prime, this is prime. I'm just going to choose any random number. So this is 13, and I'm going to choose here, I don't know, 7. Just small numbers because they are easy to calculate. So we have this. Just going to follow along, right? Now we're going to check whether P and Q are primes. Are P and Q are primes? Nice. Okay, so they are primes. So we're not going to go to no. We're going to continue. Now we're going to generate N, and we're going to generate phi. N is basically P multiplied by Q. This example, 13 multiplied by 7 is 75, 26. 91. Nice. 91. And we have phi. Phi is basically P minus 1 multiplied by Q minus 1. What is P minus 1 multiplied by Q? 12 multiplied by 6 is basically 16 plus 12, 72. 72, right? 72. Now let's continue. We are just literally just doing exactly what is going there. Now our E and phi now comes like this co-prime thingy. Now is E and phi relatively prime? What is relatively prime? Or what is co-prime? What did I say before? What co-prime means? Please? Yeah?
The only factors from this number are prime.
Yes. So GCD of, now we have to check if the GCD, so the grand common dividers between E and phi, is basically 1. Is it? Let's check. I don't know. E is basically, what is E? I have 5, and phi is 72. Wait, let's just do it. I mean, we are programmers, so let's just use our computers. This is as far as my brain can go. What was E? Was wait, GCD. I think it's from 5. It's not 1, so we have to choose another number. You see? Now, I already changed the slides. If you go back to the slides, you will see here. Now we basically have to choose a new E, and we have to basically choose either new E, either modified E, or we're going to choose a new P and Q. That's actually going to make it a co-prime. Can you try 3?
Wait. Huh? Again, 72 is not divided
Someone told me no.
No, it makes some sense. 70 or 75 would be
What is the GCD between E and phi?
Greatest common divisor.
Yeah, is it 1?
Yes.
It should be, yeah. Okay, then who told me it's 8 or something? Okay, I think someone calculated the powers. No, not even the power. Never mind. What did I have here? I even forgot. 3, right? 5, okay. 5, so, okay, we have 5. So 72 and 5 are actually co-prime. Good. So now the GCD of E and phi is correct, it's 1, yeah? Now we can go further. We will talk why who asked me why? You asked me why they should be co-prime, right? It's a vulnerability. We will talk about it. I have a challenge prepared. I'm not sure if I'm going to give you guys with it because this can be solved with one Google. There is a math exchange. You guys know Stack Overflow. There's also math exchange, which looks like a Stack Overflow, and the solution is basically there. But we will see. Maybe you can come to it on your own. Let's see. So now we did verify this. It was actually valid. Now we're going to try to encode the plaintext. How? M to the power of E mod n. Let's do the same thing. E, the ciphertext is going to be equal to M, which is our message, to the power of E mod n. Can someone do this? Like, let's take message. I don't know. Message is basically A, which is 79. Can someone do this? 79 to the power of 5 mod big N, which is 91. 91.
No, 8. Just say
97. Yeah, mod 91. So 97 to the power of 5 mod 91.
41.
Huh? 41. Okay. Now we have 41. Okay. Now we finished. Now we have the pair. Again, in RSA, we are always talking about a public pair and the private pair. The public pair here is basically the ciphertext, which is 41, and the N. And also the E should be known. I mean, in real case scenarios, most of the time, E, we choose it as 1, going like this, shifted to the left by 16, plus 1 or minus 1, I forgot. Why we choose this? Because it's a number which is much easier to calculate. It's a prime number, and it is basically 0, like this, multiple bits. It's really easy to calculate. So that's why we use like this specific number most of the time.
It's also more secure. Like
Yeah, it's the most secure number. Yeah.
Like a little of ones in
Exactly. And that's why we choose most of the time this number. That's why I'm not going to, normally when you are talking about the key pairs, E is like standardized. So, but here, right now, we're going to also send E because it's not a standard number. So here we have CT, which is the ciphertext, stands for the ciphertext. We also have N, it's important, and we have E. But most of the time, these are the two important public pairs. Now we are done. So we are done with the encryption. Now we will try to decrypt stuff. So what do we need to decrypt stuff? We need C to the power of D. Here D was not calculated, but I'm going to show you how D is calculated. Mod N. Can you guys make the analogy, or from where should we get D? It's the inverse of something. I made it easier. Okay, it's fine. If you look at this, you can see like why D from where should become. What is the thing that we made there, but we didn't really choose, or we didn't really use? Phi. We didn't use it. Did we use phi? No, we didn't. So this is the public. This is the. I mean, not phi, but the inverse of phi. Can someone calculate the inverse of phi, which is the D? 29. Okay. So D is 29, and 29. What is it again? Is the inverse of phi. So it's basically phi minus 1 mod N.
No, it's inverse of E mod phi.
Ah, yeah, sorry. Yeah, what I'm doing. Yeah. Inverse of E mod phi, because E is here. Yeah. Mod phi. This is D, 29, right? Yeah. Okay. Now, decryption. M. The message back, what it's going to be? ciphertext, which is 41. Do it to the power of d, which is 29, mod n, which is 91. Did you get? No, this doesn't make sense. No. This absolutely no. There is something wrong here.
Not really. Like it's gonna be 6 as an answer, but like 97 modular.
Yeah, it doesn't make because yeah. Let me just take a look again. Let me see, where did I do a problem? Because I prepared. CT to the power of t, yeah. T and phi is basically this, yeah. GCD of E and phi, and then the D is basically E to the power of -1 modulo phi. So D is actually small. Okay, I did choose here. Yeah. The message should be actually true. Yeah. Okay, I just remember. A should be well chosen. It should be smaller than n. My bad. A should be smaller than n. A here should be smaller than n. Yeah, A should be small. Now let's choose 12. Let's try to do the same thing. So A is 12. So recalculate this. CT. 38. Now calculate it, decrypt it back. Should come to 12. Okay, so it works. So encryption and decryption, as you can see, we started from one side and we came to the other side. And most of the time, you just share these with the other person, so the public key. And in this case scenario, we are talking about the one who's going to decrypt is the one who's going to actually, the one who's going to encrypt is the one who's generating this stuff. Yeah? Good? Does it make sense? In code, it basically looks like this. So we have P, Q, and E. I'm choosing here Q and E the same, but it's not super optimal. Because E most of the time is smaller and Q should be big, but I'm just displaying here that the algorithm. N is P multiplied by Q, phi is basically P minus 1. This is also called the Tauschen function, P minus 1 multiplied by Q minus 1. And we have the GCD. Here we're basically just checking whether or not E and phi are coprime. And if they are coprime, we can calculate the private key D, which is made of E to the power of -1 modulo phi. Now, going back to your question, Donk, right? Donk. Do you see right now why we have, first, what do we need to decrypt? Which element is really important here to decrypt? It's the D. The letter D here is what do we need to actually decrypt this stuff here? Because other stuff, all the other stuff are public. All of these are public. We just assume that all of these are public. So the only thing left there is D. Now just imagine these two have a common dividers, and you are trying to recalculate D. Does it make sense? Or you don't see it yet? I will write it there. Maybe it will be much easier to see. We have the GCD. What does GCD of E and phi means? How can we translate this to? It's E multiplied by A plus phi multiplied by B. We don't know these two numbers. Or am I tripping? GCD come? No. This is the power. No. GCD of E multiplied by phi. I even wrote it there because this can easily be forgotten. Actually, I'm correct. Yeah, I'm correct. Yeah. So E multiplied by A plus phi multiplied by B. Like A and B are unknown, and this will be equal to 1. This is the meaning of GCD. I mean, GCD when it's equal to 1. So this can be translated directly to this, and then we want to have this is equal to 1, so we can say that this is actually equal to this. You see it? Now, the other thing, what is it? Is the power of, so E multiplied or to the power of -1 modulo phi is equal to D. Mod phi is equal to D. Oops, sorry. Now, if you can, if you can find this E and B here, let's rechange here. D will be equal E. It's minus A. So if we take everything to the other side, it will be minus phi B divided by A. All of this will be -1 mod phi. Am I going to over like something which is not I should not be going to? Because all of these like all the ways to break this is basically by just playing around with numbers. Should we go into this or should we just continue? Wait, let me check how much time is left. Okay, I will just continue then. But you can just one Googling and you will find the solution of this. It's just playing around with numbers. Anyways, did we understand how RSA is actually built? Forget about this part. Just like what we did here, like the encryption and decryption. Oops. This part, forget about it. Other than this, did you guys understand what we have here? Like this part. Okay, so this is our this is our RSA system. What we did right now was the demo time. So now we're going to do the secure encryption. So the secure encryption, if you want to do it like a real way, like not only using this and then just testing a bunch of stuff, this is how it should look like. No, it's not even this. Did I get rid of the code? No way. Ah, yeah, never mind. Okay, my bad. So this is the way you encrypt stuff, and I did encrypt the message. This is the output, and you guys have to decrypt it. I mean, you have everything here. All the numbers, you have them here. These are the pairs. Just try to read this code, and it's already pushed on the GitHub repo. It's in under demos encrypt.py. Try to decrypt this code just by knowing these two. And E is already written somewhere here or generated, but yeah, E is here, N and E here. Yeah, here. Did anyone decrypt it? It's 3 lines of code. Yeah, it is. Yeah. What's the flag? Good, good. Okay, we have one. Someone solved it already. You can start doing the challenge. It's under chal.
Oh, it was challenge.
It's in the repo.
Wait.
You are under demos? Yeah, exactly. This
I
is
did
chance.
this one, actually.
You did this one?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. So you actually solved the other. Okay, go to demos. The other one, I actually solved the other challenge. Nice, nice, good. Now try to do like demos. Yeah, this one. So this is basically, this is the output, and you just try to decrypt it. Nice. Can you write me the bug you did use to solve it? Or just show me the script?
No, just because it's like...
Yeah, okay.
Because it's
Yes. Nice. This is Sage Math, right?
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, nice. Oh, good. Do you have experience with crypto?
I studied a bit yesterday.
Oh, nice. Huh? Good. Nice. So we have a crypto guy here. Anyone? You have all the informations already. You have, again, we have everything. So basically you're just gonna redo this. And this is basically d to the power of e, no, to the power of phi. What is 29? Oh, 29, yes, never mind. C to the power of d. Ct to the power of d, mod n. That's it. That's all what you need to do. And the flag is split character by character, so you have to do it for character by character. You just need a little bit of Python there. Just do this. Message will be back by each letter that I have there. Just put it to the power of d and do modulo n. Paul, do you have any questions online? Also, again, for people that are online, please register as soon as possible. Yeah, we want to count the number of participants so that we can schedule the food and also where you guys gonna sit and play CTF. So please do it as soon as possible. And also join the Discord server because all the announcements and everything related to the event will be broadcast through the Discord server. Including the technical difficulties and any other questions, all of them will be handled through the ticket system in the server. Did you do it? Nice, show me. Yes, good. Okay, he solved both. So we're gonna start explaining the solution. Can you first tell us how you did solve the first one at the very least? That's the one, like not the real challenge, but like just this one.
Oh yeah, the demo. So there is like, as written in the code, it was just iterating like over each character.
Wait, let me just show everyone. Yeah. So basically, when you look at the code here, you will see that it was basically encrypting and iterating over everyone. This is basically just inline for loop and going through each character. Please continue.
Yeah, so it was like just taking art of this character and like going to the power of e mod n.
Yeah.
And as we know, when we like go like to the power of e and then to the power of d, then it's going to be like character back. So like, so we just do the same, but instead of
yeah, this is the decrypt.
Yeah, so we like just take every number from the outputs, like go to the power of d module n, and then just transform it back to characters.
Nice, yes. So as I said, here we have both key pairs. This is the n, this is the e, and what is the next one? Yeah, here public key. So the first one is basically the public key. This is e, and this is basically the d. And you just have to use like these two key pairs, and using these two, you will just decrypt this using this function. So just inlining, this is just joining every character you did decode, and just doing like the power, which what we saw there. So basically the power, this function can also calculate the modulo. It's called the mod po or po mod. I think this was the old naming for this function, and yeah, it's modulo multiplication. Does it make sense? Good. That was the first challenge. The second challenge, what time is it? Okay, we don't have enough time. The second challenge, I'm just gonna tell you guys about it directly and explain. Also, maybe he can explain the bug. So this second challenge, you basically just got these three. So basically, you're just getting N and E, and you're getting a ciphertext, and you have to try to decrypt this back without knowing the D. Can you tell us how you did it without knowing the D?
Yeah, so the problem with this one is that n is not like multiplication of two primes, but just prime.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's easy to find phi of it.
Exactly. So now let's just imagine if n was not p minus multiplied by q, but instead it was just p or just q. If it was just q, then how can we calculate phi? You.
Yeah, q minus 1.
Yeah, exactly. It's just going to become q minus 1 because this is just going to be no, phi going to be 0. It's literally
it's q minus 1. Yeah.
Q minus, but p is 1. But it's just
yeah,
q.
but it just definition of phi is like every prime minus 1. Like I mean, it just by definition.
Yeah, good. Okay. And if you know phi, you can just recalculate d back. So because we know e to the power of minus 1 mod phi, you're just going to get it d back, and using d you can just decrypt it back. And that was actually the idea. And so most of the bugs related to RSA are one-to-one related to the security of the implementation. Not how the system is actually built, but how you actually implement that. That's why you should never create your own stuff. You should always use a library, except if you know what you are doing, which it's not. So just try to use the library. Don't try to come up with your own encryption, because you can mess up really easily. There is a lot of problems you can run into. For example, if I'm now just telling you some of the problems, but there is a lot. For example, if E is so small, if E is so big, if P and Q are almost like close to each other, all of these are bugs, and expect that during the CTF you're gonna see one of them. There is a repo I'm going to show you guys now. It literally has all the bugs. I mean, the easy bugs, and also the attacks and the explanation. Let me just look for it. Or maybe, look, this is good so that you guys join the server. When you join the server, you will find it there. Okay? So you have to join the server to find it there. And okay, so this was the slide, and then the libraries. The library, What's your name?
Timon.
Timon. So the library Timon used was SageMath, or I think he used the command line of SageMath directly. This SageMath basically can solve pretty much everything. It has almost everything included, and you just have to look at the documentation to see what you are looking for. It has also a lot of attacks, like a lot of functions that are already made. It's like this library. Sometimes it's really difficult to install. I don't know why, but some people find it really, really difficult, especially if you have a Windows machine. If you have a Linux or a Mac, I don't think you're going to have any problem. If you have a problem, just run it in a Docker container. And in like one of my CTF friends who's going to be here during the CTF, like this is basically his nightmare. He cannot install like SageMath. And you guys are going to get to see him and get to know him during the CTF on site. So yeah. Also, another library that I wanted to talk about again, which is Pound Tools. I mean, some of the challenges require to interact with the server, some not. For example, right now, I did give you guys all the challenges as files, but sometimes you have to interact with the server to do something. So either retrieve like some elements or to do something. And in this case scenario, you need like Pound Tools to interact with the server, like we did last week with binary exploitation. So just look at any tutorial of Pound Tools, or just ask like ChatGPT to give you like all the functions that you need. You need mostly like send line, send after, receive line, receive after, write, read. These are the most famous ones. Interactive, close, process, remote. These are the functions most of the time you will need. Just look at the documentation and you will see them. Also, install this library. It's called pwndbg. This library has a lot of utilities and also has the implementations of most of the crypto system, including RSA. It also has like the bare bones and the primitives. For example, if you are trying to generate, not generate, but if you are trying to get like bytes from long or long from bytes, like your flag, I will just show you an example. Let's say your flag is something like this, a number, and you don't want to write like how you're going to read it back as bytes or something like this, or as read it from like long to byte. There's basically a function that reads it directly, and here's like the solution of this challenge. So under this crypto util number, you find like this long to byte. There's also this function inverse, which is like mod. This function mod, but calculates the inverse directly. And this was basically the solution of the other challenge, the one Timon solved. Okay? Yeah, this was basically the solution. I mean, as long as you know that D is built by n-1, n-1 is our q-1 in the example there, because n is prime. I already know here n is prime. That's why I did do it directly. But you, during the CTF, try to test stuff. There is also a website called FactorDB. This website basically has, like, you just give it your prime number. It's going to tell you if the factors are already known, if they are already leaked. If this is like a weak prime number, which we already know how to factorize. This is also a really important one. And this should be it for today. Just expect RSA to be in the CTF, not only RSA. You guys will have also one Symmetric challenge. It's not going to be complicated. It will be easy, but you have to take a look how actually symmetric encryption works, especially the mods like CBC and so on. Is also to have in mind, so whoever is going to do crypto, you have to take a look into RSA and also the different types of mods in symmetric encryptions like CBC. Do you guys have any questions? Questions? Next week, bring your laptop, install Barb Suite. Next week is web exploitation. I think it should be the topic which interests the majority, but let's see. Look at some attacks, for example, SSTI, and SSCI is server-side template injection. Especially look at the Ghidra 2. It's the template used by Python, and just see how it works. It's really important. And also look at the SQL injection, just get familiar with it, how can we perform it, and how can we attack servers without using SQL map, because SQL map is for script kiddies. Do you guys know what are script kiddies? There are people that actually think they are hackers, but they're just using tools. So it's like script kiddies, or like a kid who's using scripts. And also get familiar with the request library in Python. This library allows you to interact with the browser, not browser, but interact with the server directly. Allows you to send GET requests, POST requests, and some other stuff. Who did what's called the transcendence? Yeah, who did transcendence here? Okay, pardon. Okay, so try to get familiar with the request library. You will need this knowledge in transcendence. And also if you are building the web serve. So I don't know which kind of prize I'm going to give you guys next week. Maybe a voucher again. I will see. What do you guys prefer, a lunch or a voucher? Or what do you guys prefer? Voucher, okay. Then the next week, if you solve it, you're going to get a voucher for either Try Hack Me, Hack the Box, or any other platform for cybersecurity. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Also, if you want to practice crypto, this is the best website. It's called Crypto Hack. Here you find basically everything. You go to, like, there is first courses. You can go through the courses. And there is also like real challenges. For example, I solved the most of the RSA challenges. And this was, no, I should not say anything. So yeah, you just go through like the challenges here. Some challenges have also description and also like how you should solve it. They help you. And if you have any other question, you can go to the Discord server of Crypto Hack and ask your question there. Some people might give you hints. So yeah, that's it. But nobody going to show you like how to do it directly. They will tell you if you are going to the wrong direction, or maybe if you are just going in a rabbit hole, they're going to maybe help you with a small hint. But other than that, you have to do it yourself. So this is the best website for learning crypto security. There's also some other models that are, I didn't try yet. For example, ZK. I like ZK, that's why it's here. There's like this exogenous. This is the most complicated crypto topic. It's this exogenous. It's literally even PhD students find difficulties understanding this. You need more than PhD in math to understand this stuff. This is the most complicated stuff. There's also lattices. They're also a little bit complicated. And elliptic curves, and yeah, I also do this from time to time. And as you can see, I didn't do like most of the stuff here. Oh, it's a learning curve. That's it. If you want to practice web, there is a PostSwagger Academy. Basically, this PostSwagger Academy is also the one who built the Barb Suite tool. Sorry, and this website is for free, and you can do like, there's a lot of learning paths. For example, there is SQL injection, there is like a LLM attacks, there is GraphQL API vulnerabilities. You just choose. I would recommend testing the SSTI. It should be somewhere here, or maybe not. Okay, then just do like SQL injection. Just watch a couple of videos related to SSTI if you have time. But SQL injection is really important, and there will be a challenge related to it during the CTF. Again, don't learn how to use SQL map or any other tool. Learn how to do it yourself, how to evaluate the code on your own and find the bug. And preferably, at least when you are still a beginner, don't ask ChatGPT to give you like where is the bug. Try to find it yourself, because this is a practice for later, for in the future. You might need ChatGPT in the future, maybe in like huge code bases, but for now, it's better to just do it yourself. So that's a side note. Yeah, so next week we will have web, and the week after it's going to be a break. I will be on holidays until the same week when we're going to have the CTF. The first Monday of that week, we're going to have the last lecture, which is going to be related to MISC. MISC is basically anything else, anything weird, anything that requires programming. It's also a little bit like the, I forgot what it's called. You know that 1 month, it was in December, you do like, you receive a challenge every day that you, what's it called? Advent of code, yes. It's something similar to this. This is also a little bit toward MISC. So you get like a programming problem, or you might get something else. For example, like a PyGel. So you will get a Python sandbox and you have to try to escape it. So basically try to find a vulnerability in Python within this code. It's not really that complicated. I mean, finding a real 0-day is complicated, but doing like the easy stuff we're gonna have in the CDF is not really complicated again. So that was an outlook. Thank you guys again for listening, and yeah, you guys are free.